Welcome back to K24 this morning. Indeed, we are glad that you are watching. And also thank you very much for your interaction as far as the calls and social media is concerned. We are glad to know where you're watching from. And of course, give us your name and your thoughts on this particular question of the day. Does drive a sustainable screen? Let's check out our WhatsApp message so that we can answer all of them at once. The gap between education and employment is lacking. We have the ability to create our own. Indeed, I do agree. We have the ability to create our own. Then we have another one. Good morning. I am Domi, watching from Kaporia in Bureti, K24 County. The economy of Kenya is lower because there is much corruption in the country. There is much corruption. Okay, fine. Another one as well. Good morning, it's Domire from Las Vegas tuned in, and I think this government has failed in terms of selling the brand Kenya outside. Plus, even our own sugar has never competed at the Commonwealth. So we need to invest in agriculture and subsidize the farmers, plus enact policies that encourage investors, both local and international, to revive the economy. Otherwise, thank you very much for that. I just want to, Wanjohi, to tell you something here in regards to someone who wanted to start a drinking water business.
Yes.
And this is what they said in regards to how much they charge just to have that business running. The country single permit license is 18,500. Public health license and testing is 13,000. The Kenya Bureau of Standards certification is 102,000. Then we have KRA custom exercise license, 50,000. KRA custom excise bond is 300,000. Then KRA custom excise stamp, a minimum of 50,000. And then NEMA license is 33,000. And then mandatory independent testing and lab is at 15,000. Then there is a 0.5% of monthly turnover, not forgetting 5 shillings for every liter of water. And not forgetting, this is the last one, that if you sell your water in 5 counties, you have to obtain licenses from each, which can go up to 50,000 in some counties. And this is public health licenses notwithstanding, surely. If you're having, these are almost 10 points of payment that you have to do as you're starting up this business. Is there any encouragement for anyone who was probably fired from their job to even get into manufacturing such as water?
There's no encouragement for anyone to get into that business because the cost of startup is very high. And you'll realize that most people who are trying to start up are not big players, are small and medium enterprises. So further, the cost of startup consumes each and every other coin that one had saved to make the business run.
Right.
Like now, there's a very good case that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. There's huge frustration in the water business because of various taxation policies that the government has come up with. For instance, if you're talking of Kenya shillings 5.74
yes,
per every liter of water.
Right.
And access to water and sanitation is one of the SDG goals, I think number 7.
Right. Whereby
it is universally accepted that each and every person in the country has to access water. Mm-hmm. So why put, I would call, sin tax on such a product which has globally been recognized as a product that is required by each and every person? Mm-hmm. So we find that the taxation that has been put is unnecessary.
Right.
It is too burdensome for any startup. And it is very important, and this one that we have covered it in a document or that we launched, a strategy that we launched about a week ago called Resilience and Sustainability Strategy for the Manufacturing Sector.
Right.
There's something that we are talking of ease of doing business and cost of doing business. Mm-hmm. Try to drive as much as possible the cost of doing business for these startups. Even if they reduce costs and duplicated costs like the one that you have mentioned,
right,
some of them can be scrapped and others probably can be spread across. So that one is encouraged to be in that business. You are told you have to pay KRA 2,000 at the end of the first year. And by doing so, you're encouraged now to get into that business. And the end of that year, you know right well that you owe KRA that 2,000 or 3,000.
Right.
But not at the beginning. Security board, you go to KEBS, there are monies that you're supposed to pay, there. You go to NEMA, there's still more fees that you're supposed to pay there.
And I've
you
not
go
even
to the
bought
county
the
government.
yet.
You have not even bought the equipment. And then again, you're bringing the equipment, there is clogging, importation challenges. You see, so you find that the thing becomes very complicated, and it really mixes up the young generation that is trying to start up in the country. So what I would really encourage is the cost of doing business and the ease of doing business is addressed more realistically so that economy can rebound.
Abraham, if you look at all these things that, and even what the viewers are saying on WhatsApp in regards to the taxes, I mean, the taxes are too high. Is it because there's confusion in our very own government? And I'm not just talking about this one, I'm talking about all the way from back, when President Moi was in charge. There is so much that has been happening and people are just complaining that the cost of doing business in Kenya is just too high.
Like now, let me start with the WhatsApp message you talked about. That entire cost is a compliance cost.
Okay.
It's not even a production cost.
Yeah.
And you can see how onerous it is. So, and as my brother has alluded, that's a cost you can actually, as government, wish away in totality. It can go because it has nothing to do with the production process.
Okay.
But it is lumped into the final selling price. That's number one. Number two, even when he's paid all this, he cannot tell you with certainty, and swear on it, that he has complied. Because even the compliance regime is very complicated. So now coming back to your taxes, and how do we sort something like this? You remember the Nairobi County, previously, if you wanted to open a business, you had to get a fire permit, you had to get a health cert permit, you had to get a sign permit, and they were in different offices.
Right.
Then I think in the first regime, I think in the regime, they came with the unified permit, the unified business license. You pay one fee
for everything,
and you're good to go.
Yes.
This is where the route we're going to go. If you're in water, there's a water permit. It costs 20,000. Once you pay that one, there's NEMA there, there's KEBS there, there's everybody there. For two reasons, it will be cheaper, it will be efficient, it will be easy to understand, and it will remove the shroud of mystery around how do we comply to a certain sector. Because what this does, this agony, very few people would be willing to go through this agony.
Yeah.
So what does it do? It means it discourages investment for people who have savings or who have capital, but are not willing to go through this agony. So in a nutshell, what I'm saying now, when you go to the tax regime, the same thing. Especially people in the manufacturing, let's say the industrial sector, the taxes pop up daily.
Right.
Either they pop up or they are changed. This one was VATABO, it's not. This one was zero rated, now it's not. These things keep changing. That kind of environment is not good for business, especially for somebody who's coming from out.
Right.
Because somebody who's coming from out wants to invest in an environment that is stable, that is predictable, and that is sustainable. And if you're giving me a break in terms of tax, then that break should be determined in terms of time. Not that you can give it to me today and take it away from me tomorrow at a whim. You see?
Yes.
Yeah, because what that does, it means that, because I'm coming in because you've given me a 10-year tax holiday. Then in year 2 you say, no, now we're out of money, I need to change my tax. Now you start paying tax. But you see, your industry is already up. You can't fold it and take it away.
Right.
So what that will do, fine, this one will stay, but the other one who was to come will not come.
Yeah, we'll hold back.
So in a nutshell, we must decide as a nation, do we want to forego our income now in terms of taxes to save industries for tomorrow?
Yeah.
Or do we want to tax them to death today and collect all we will collect and have nobody tax tomorrow? It's either of the two, and we cannot have it both ways.
Right.
So we must make a decision.
Because a lot of people, again, talking about COVID-19, the teachers that lost their jobs, they want to get into SMEs and they want to start manufacturing small things, whether it's that water bottle or even start making cakes. But you find, like you were saying, the cost of business is just too much, the taxes you have to pay, and not forgetting corruption, whereby even when you own your own wines and spirits, Kanjo wanakujanga kwako kila siku kuchukua so mbili. Kenya police wanakuja kwako 500 kila Friday. I mean, you listen to people out here and the cost of just doing business. Wako wanakuambia movie, at the end of the day, the money that I make the whole week, Friday inenanga na makarao. I mean, it's almost, it's like you're working for someone else, Mr. Wanjohi. What can be done even from our end as the citizens, as the business owners, just to make sure that indeed we are running our businesses smoothly?
We need to have a serious and committed citizenry, because all of us, we need to look ourselves as Kenyans. We had a discussion with Abraham before, whereby we were saying the culture in the country need to change. Because the leadership team that is in today is not what was there 20 years ago. But you find that the eels cut across. So that means we're only changing the players, but the field is the same. So if we cannot address culturally where we are coming from, we will not overcome these hurdles. Because you'll find that even when you're talking about the corruption and governance issues,
Right.
you'll find there is giver and there is taker. Why can't the giver restrain himself? Because there is what we call code of conduct
Right.
on governance. Like now we have a global compact that lands in the country. One of its mantra is don't bribe and don't accept to be bribed. By doing so, you promote a proper governance within your institution. You'd rather stay for 2 years, having not received that permit. But when you go for the next permit, let me tell you,
Yes.
they will respect your principles and stand. They
Right.
will know, even if you try to hit this guy too hard, this guy will not, cough this money. So for the first time, you're likely to struggle. But for the second time, you're likely to get your results faster than it was before. So there's give and take in corruption. So it's just a question of addressing nationally. Where is our culture? Where do we stand? Because
You know,
the leadership crop tomorrow will be different.
Because someone
from
tells you
what is there today.
if you do not bribe or even take that bribe, and sana for those ones who give the bribe, you find someone telling you, Mbuvi, yani umekaa ukingoja hii permit siku ngapi? Miezi 3. Cheki, fanya hivi, chukua hii namba ya Abraham, mpigie simu atakusort. Then when you call Abraham, Abraham tells you, yeah, just throw 5,000 my way, come for the permit by 12 o'clock. It has become so easy and unfortunately so acceptable to the point where unajuanga ukienda kwa ofisi ya gava wakikwambia chukua leta 5,000 unatoa haraka hii story kuishie. Let's take another look at the WhatsApp message as well as we talk about our problems. This is the sorry, Dama Maitha, question to Job Wanjohi. Do we have training programs for value addition supply chain opportunities to business startups? This would enable product differentiation and competitive pricing. Let's take a look at another one. Movie. Just wanted to ask the panel if any of them have had the government plans to boost and revive the SMEs, which contribute largely in taxes, especially during this period of time. If no, then we are in for a tough ride. Okay. Let's start with the one who was asking for opportunities, training opportunities.
There's one question which I try now to, to merge with this question about education,
Right.
and employment. Indeed, from manufacturing, what we came to discover is that there is difference between the crop of students or graduates that are coming from our universities and what is required at the factory level. So what we've done is we have come up, like now in CAM we have what is called a CAM Academy that has a curriculum that enriches the skill. We have business development arm in CAM that now also enriches or tries to come up with programs that will help the startups understand what are these basics as far as corporate governance is concerned, as far as access to finance is concerned, as far as bankability is concerned,
Okay.
as far as access to credit also is concerned. Various programs that really help the startups to really understand the environment that they're operating in.
Okay,
so
let me just take a call. Pole sana. There's Elijah on the phone. Elijah, good morning.
Morning to you. How are you?
Mimi niko salama sana. What is your question or comment?
My question is on Kenya Power.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm not. I just have a household,
Yes.
but I'm wondering how industries survive because this policy they have that the more units you buy, the less, the more money you put into buying power,
Yes.
the less units you're getting. For instance,
Okay.
if I buy power for 1,000 shillings,
Yes.
I get around 60 units.
Yes.
If I buy for 3,000 shillings, I get around 130, meaning I've lost around 60 units.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, for an industry that is consuming so much
Power.
paying so much power bills, they are
Yeah.
getting very less units.
Okay.
So I think that's one of the big problems we have in this country. If that can be addressed,
Okay.
it will really go a long way.
Thank you, Elijah. We'll address that in a second, but I think you did mention something about the levies. Yeah, we shall again repeat it for someone who didn't catch it the first time. But you were saying, you know, there are all those 5 points of education that you mentioned that CAM offers.
Yes.
CAM Academy.
CAM Academy.
Yes.
It has some bridging courses or some trainings that help to equip the potential employees in the manufacturing sector in the country to give them the right skills so that once they get this skill, even their productivity improves, their marketability improves.
Okay.
So we have really ensured that the SMEs and the startups are really benefiting out of this.
Okay.
Yes.
And just to answer that power issue, do we have specific power meters, for example, for factories? Do wasilipe maybe the same way we pay in our own households?
You'll find that there are different bands in power rates
Okay.
or tariffs that the government gives. The industrial tariffs, the household tariffs, and whatnot.
Okay.
The difference comes in at the point that you have to make the payment for power. There are standing charges on your bill. If you take probably 2 months before you pay, the starting charge for the 2 months, that one has to be factored when you are paying in the next 2 months. So you find that the unit per cost probably is likely to be higher because 1 month you never consumed, another one you consumed, but the fixed cost or the fixed charge still has to be reflected in both accounts.
All right.
That notwithstanding, you realize that the government shareholding in your power consumption stands at around 40%. You see that the direct taxes, we're talking over VAT and whatnot, stands at around 27%. The indirect taxes or third-party charges, when we're talking of one mine and whatnot, stands at around 13%.
Okay.
So 60% is what you consume.
Right.
So again, if we can see a reduction of the government shareholding on the power that you consume from that 40%, I would encourage everyone to look at their bill.
Yes.
From that 40%, it goes back to 20%. You see that the costs of power at household level, and also even in our manufacturing hub, will not be as high as it is today.
Okay.
Yes.
We've just talked about you know, the education part of industrialization and all that. Do you think also skills-wise, Kenyans are well skilled to even get into this manufacturing space visually? Because we have tried manufacturing laptops through JQuat. We've tried making phones as well. We know we have assembly points in Thika and so on and so forth. But do we have the skills as Kenyans to say that tunaweza jengea our own coffee industry, not just from the farming, but all the way to the processing of that coffee, make it instant and serve it right here on the table?
You see, for any curriculum to be developed, there has to be a demand for it. And I think that's where it has to start. I think if we decide we are going to do production around industry, around agriculture, around other things, that skill will be developed. Remember, if you go around the world, Kenyans are running everything, everywhere you go, including NASA in America. So it's a question of, why should I study something I'll not use? So if I know that if I finish, I'll need to produce guacamole in Kenya, those institutions will come up. You know Kenya. So sometimes demand drives supply, not the other way around. Because we will not have an institution producing people who can make guacamole, and then we have to ship them to Mexico.
Yeah.
You see, so we have to first decide that that's the skill we need. Then we develop the curriculum for it, and Kenyans will learn anything.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is, there's something you had raised, and I want to talk about it. We talked about the corruption element of where cops come and pick and go with everybody's money.
You're miambili every day.
Yes.
And then they come for Miatano Friday.
I don't know if you remember, when I was picking my first passport in 1990, getting a passport was one of the hardest things on earth to get. You had to know somebody who knew a broker who knew somebody inside, and the chain went on ad nauseum. Fast forward now, you go in online, you fill your forms, it gives you an M-Pesa prompt, you pay, you print, you're given an interview date, you're taking a photo, and you're told in 2 weeks, come and pick it, and they actually call you and you could pick it. What has changed? It has become clear, the process is clear, it's efficient, and the mystery around it has been removed.
Right.
That's all we need to do for everything. If you look at the liquor regime, the liquor license comes from somebody else. The business license comes from somebody. So there are various parties.
Another place.
There's a guy who comes for copyright. But again, it comes back to what I was telling you. If we have a single permit, that if anybody shows up, I just show that, they dry up. In fact, they will not show up. They show up because they know there are cracks in that system. That maybe you have not gone to person X or person Y, or you're not aware there's a new person P who has popped up now that you also have to go to.
Right.
But this other one, this one now is clear that if I have that permit, I am good. And you see, even for taxes, even for any levy, one of the successes of levies is when they are understandable and they are easy to collect and they are easy to administer and they are also easy to understand. So that you know, if I want a business. And if you look at Nairobi County,
yes,
they never collected as much revenue on permits as they did on self-compliance. Even people who had never taken those things, woke up and said, you know what, at least this is easy. I just need to walk. In fact, and you never needed to go there.
Yeah.
You went online, printed your thing, and in color, and hung it. When those guys come, you show them, and they walk away.
Yeah.
So even as we're talking corruption, we also have to sanitize the ground and remove those factors that make it easy for corruption to thrive. Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Quite interesting. Again, when we go back to the fact that technology-wise, we might have the capacity brain-wise, but what about technology-wise? Do we even have, what is it called, the capacity at our universities, for example? At least we've seen JKUAT, again, like I mentioned, trying to make laptops and all these things. If we said today, we want to create systems that can handle us all the way from the farm to fork, like he likes saying, do we have the technology here in this country to sort our manufacturing needs kabisa?
How I look at it is from a hybrid system, whereby you cannot reinvent the wheel.
Of course.
If there's technology for coffee harvesting,
just bring it.
Coffee spraying and whatnot, because you've seen helicopters and big planes spraying, agricultural farms in Russia. We're talking over Europe, talking over America. There's no need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
The only thing that we need to do is to bring the wheel cheaper in the country. And then when we bring the wheel cheaper in the country, there's also no need to reinvent knowledge. If this knowledge is floating somewhere internationally, let's bring it down here on us. What is most critical is to have what is called understanding. Understanding, not the understanding ile ya kuelewa. Ile you have someone below you whom you are whom you are enhancing skills such that in 1 year or 2 years' time
they can take over.
They can take over.
So an apprentice.
Yes, apprentice program.
Yes.
So that now after 2 years they are going to take over from that expatriate who has come to the country for 2 or 3 years to operate that machine. You'll find that along the value chains, even if you don't have that technology in the country, it's just a question of having policy space that is right. That these machines, because at the moment the industrial machines, they don't attract some of these import charges. If you're talking of IDF is lower, RDL is lower, that one has not been proved. But you find like now what is called common external tariff for the EAC, for industrial machineries and inputs. That one is 0. If now for along the value chain can be the same, instead of paying 25%, you're paying 0%, this is going to encourage these technologies to transfer into the country.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Let's take a look at another WhatsApp message coming through as tunafunga storo. I believe as much as we call ourselves a hard-working nation, I am sorry to say that we are very lazy when it comes on acting on what is right in all sectors, be it our laws and taxes, cause we make the laws so as the taxes can be useful to our lives. It's that simple. Are we lazy?
No, we're not lazy. I think there's a point he's trying to make, or she is trying to make. I don't know whether he or she.
Yeah.
And it is revolving around the complexity of compliance regime.
Yes.
Because you can only comply to the extent of which you understand that compliance regime. And sometimes you're caught non-compliant, not because you don't want to comply, but because you do not know the full space of that compliance.
Right.
So even as we do whatever we are doing, even our tax laws, The same way we went to our landlords where there were many and we collapsed them to a few, which are understandable. Maybe it's high time we did the same. Because you can see, like with tax, there are cases upon cases. And most of those cases, when you listen to the merits and demerits, both sides have a case. And because of the ambiguity and the overlap of those laws. And that is defeating the purpose for which they were put there, which is to ease collection. So for me, I don't think we are lazy. I think what people want is a regime that they understand, that is easy to implement, and that encourages self-compliance without being pushed. Because right now, enforcement is the word. You can see the word enforce has the word force in it.
Right.
But we want a regime where people feel that I want to comply because it is easy to understand. It doesn't hit me so much, and we are all paying.
Yes.
But now there's a feeling that very few people are paying, and other people are on free lunches. And that's why you see even the ones who are paying also want to stop paying.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the problem we're facing. Yeah. Okay. Have we collected enough data to use it to our advantage going forward? Or next year, God forbid, if we have another pandemic, swine flu or Ebola, tutajipata kwa hizi shida tena. Have we, as an industry, as a country, as a government, have we collected enough data to ensure that if this happens again, we will not find ourselves having this conversation?
If I'll talk from the manufacturing sector, the one that I represent, because the government can better answer from their angle. But from the manufacturing sector, we at the moment are working on the data management and data mining. Okay. So that the data that we have collected through the surveys that we have conducted, the studies that we have conducted for the last 6 months, this can be stored safe for future reference, so that it informs us where we are going to. And also, there is a clarion call that this pandemic should not be wasted. It should not be wasted. We should ensure that the data that has been collected in terms of the PPE production and the capacity that has been that has come up, in terms of a global value chain disruption that has also seen what we were otherwise importing being locally produced, whereby we saw, like now on essential manufacturing, there was a huge demand of what is essentially essential goods that are locally manufactured. So this data has been stored so that when we are doing advocacy, we can tell the government that look at the capacity that is in the country. We were able to support the country during the pandemic. Food was being supplied adequately. Drugs are being supplied adequately. Construction materials, metal goods, and whatnot. This is what we need to continue with, instead of the way we are operating in an international system that is quite unfair. You find that the level playing field between us and the other international players, some countries that again I will not mention, and you find that their goods are subsidized, their goods, their goods are accustomed, their goods are undervalued, their illicit that is coming from such countries. We need protection from such countries so that the manufacturing sector can.
I know such country. We get a lot of substandard stuff from China.
You say it.
Oh, you're not saying it. All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on the show today. That was actually amazing. And I hope people at home have taken some notes, especially those ones who want to get into business. If you are jobless, you are fired from your job, and you're thinking, maybe I should get into manufacturing. Well, there's an opportunity for you, especially when it comes to the CAM Academy. Go get some skills there, some 5 points that he mentioned that can really come in handy, especially getting into that one. Thank you very much for watching. We take a short break, but we are not yet done. Shiko Kaitan is coming up next with a daily brief. But as for me, I'll be seeing you again tomorrow bright and early on K24 This Morning Interactive. Tuonane hiyo masaa.